Today we're going to talk about color blending. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about how paint is matched on these vehicles. This video is mostly for the consumers to give them an overview of what it takes to match these colors. If you're in the industry, painting and stuff, you should already know this stuff, and if you don't, I feel bad. But anyway, the colors on these cars have a lot of metallics in them. They have pearls in them. When you look at them different angles, they change ways. So it's very difficult to get them to match. So we get them as close as we can, and then we blend the colors into the old finish, and we clear over the whole thing, and it matches in just right. So it's not visible to the naked eye. One of the issues that we deal with is that most of these cars, I'd say probably 80 to 90% of them, all the colors have variances of the same color code that's on that car. And it has a lot to do with where they were painted, what factory they came out of, what batch of paint they came out of. There's a lot of variables, and so the color can be a lighter, darker, or muddier. There's a lot of different variables. So sometimes some of these colors have maybe 4, 5, 6 different variants of the same color. So it's very hard to get it mixed right and painted. So what we do is we have color chips that we match up to the old paint, and we get as close as we can by the color chips. And these are known variances of those colors. Once we have that, we can go ahead and mix the paint. Another thing that we deal with in this industry is the lighting. When we're painting a car, it's usually under fluorescent lights. These lights do not give you the true color of that car. So when we're painting it, it may look like it matches, but it doesn't always match. We get it all finished and we pull it out in the sunlight the next day and it doesn't match. So that's another issue that we deal with. But a lot of times what we'll do is we'll paint a spray out card. This is an example of a spray out card. We paint these ahead of time, and we take the car out in the sun and we put it up against the car and we look at it at all angles to make sure the side angle looks good, the front looks good, the metallics look right. Once we get it like we think it should be, then we can go ahead and blend out the color. Now, I've prepared this door today. We've gone ahead and did the body work on it and primered it. And once the primer had dried, we went ahead and sanded the primer with 500 water sanded. And the rest of the door we sanded with 1200 grit, because we don't want to mess up any of the color on the other door, because when we come down to the fender, we want it to match the door. So there's only going to be clear coat on the end of this panel, where all the color is going to be blended in. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean the door with wax and grease remover. This takes all the contaminants off of there, so it prevents all the fish eyes and anything else that would happen to the door. And even though you prep this thing as good as you can, sometimes there's still problems. So what we want to do is we want to get the primer covered so it's completely colored first. Generally, this is going to take anywhere between 2 to 4 coats normally. Some of these colors are very transparent. They could take 5, 6, sometimes 7 coats to make sure they're covered. But that's just the way it goes. I generally wait a few minutes in between coats, if not longer, depending how cold or hot it is outside. It's probably in the low 90s right now, so it dries pretty fast, so you don't really have to wait that long. In the wintertime, you could be waiting quite a while, but that's a good thing with video. I don't have to make you wait. I'll just stop the film for you. Okay, after the first 2 or 3 coats, if you can see that you're just about being able to hide the primer. As you can see, as I've already done, as I stepped out each coat after that a little bit farther and a little bit farther. On the last coat, I'm really going to feather that last blend so it just melts it right in. Okay, now we've got our color on here. I've let it sit maybe about 15 minutes or so, and we're ready to clear it. But I want to just say one thing. A lot of times when you do a repair like this and the insurance company is paying for it, or if it's just a normal repair, there could be maybe some little chips or something in the front part of the door. And when the customer picks the car up and they say, "Oh, well, how come you didn't fix that chip? You painted the door anyway." Well, here's the problem: is you're moving your color here so it makes sure you match the fender. But if you go ahead and fix those chips, you're going to have a little bit of primer right there as well. So now your color's not going to match because it's up against the fender. So now you're going to have to blend the fender out, and unless they want to pay for that, then normally they don't usually do that. So we just go ahead and we clear coat over the old chips or whatever towards the end of the panel. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, if you're using a high solids clear, 2 coats of clear is plenty. If you're using a medium solids, then it's probably better just to put 3 on. I usually put 3, just because it's not quite as high as solids. And for those of you that are real sharp and probably wondering why we didn't paint the quarter panel because it's right up against the door, because we're going to replace it. Just for those people that really caught that in the beginning.